Good morning, watch nerds. Hands up, I'm a serial flipper, and that's to say, I love the thrill of selling a watch and finding something new, especially as so few manufacturers are prepared to loan me watches to review. However, there are 8 watches I've identified that I can't ever see myself selling, but please don't hold me to that, because I really don't want to let myself down. So what would stop me selling any given watch? Well, there are only actually a few reasons. 1. Could I replace the watch with something better if I sold it for what I could get? 2. Is it an iconic watch that should remain in my collection for no other reason than it's an iconic watch? And 3. It's just a really nice watch and I can't see myself not owning it. There are many people who are quite sentimental, and I respect that, who wouldn't sell a watch for emotional reasons, and to be honest, I'm probably not one of those people. Of course, like most collectors, there have been watches in my collection I regret selling, and here are a few. In no particular order, here we go. First up is the Alca Nostromo. This is a Malaysian-based microband diver that will cost you about £620 to get to your door, including taxes of course. Now I picked this up a few months ago on eBay for a bargain price of £173. Now the fit, the finish and the spec are excellent, and it's even got a scratch-resistant coating. Now originally had a sapphire bezel, and that had a little fault, but the owner of the brand supplied me with a stainless steel replacement, which I applied myself. Now as it turned out, I think it looks better. Here it is with the original bezel. What do you think? To be honest, the chances of me ever finding a watch this good for what I paid for this one is almost out of the question. And anyway, I love this watch, and I love the way it fits. This is the Huso HS002-1. This is a Hong Kong based microband with the Sellita SW200 movement inside. Would cost you around about £400 plus any relevant import duties, although it's also available with the PT5000 movement in it for less. Now after negotiation with an eBay seller, I landed this for just £162, which to be honest is less than what you'd actually pay to have a replacement movement fitted. Now it's a 38mm sporty dress watch with a hand-painted enamel dial, and apparently these dials can take up to a month to produce, and that's with a very high failure rate. Each dial is unique, and this supplied strap is absolutely superb. I honestly can't ever see myself selling this, purely because I love it, and it's the Phoibos Narwhal 38. Now, as well as the great dimensions, I think the quirky case shape looks absolutely fantastic, and the dial is made of natural stone. In my opinion, this is Phoibos' best ever watch, and to add to that, it's got probably the best lume in my collection. Now, the majority of Steinhart watches are well-made homages. Steinhart, as most of you all know, are a German company that had their watches produced in Switzerland. I bought this used, but in A1 condition, and as far as I know, this is a unique design, although there are similarities to a vintage Rolex. I'm pretty damn sure though that Rolex never made this colourway, hence the reason it's called the Melon. As you can see, it's a GMT, and inside is the Sellita SW300-1, and unlike the SW200, the hand winding is buttery smooth. I think the chances of me ever bumping into somebody else wearing one of these is pretty remote. Anyone who knows anything about watches will know what this is. It's the Seagull 1963, and it's a watch all enthusiasts should own. The model has got some good history, and the Seagull ST1901 movement inside is just about the only reasonably priced mechanical chronograph. Now these come in several iterations. This is the 38mm version with the sapphire crystal and exhibition caseback. But you can also get them in a 40mm, a 42mm, with the solid caseback, and with a Hesalite crystal. Believe it or not, there's even a quartz version. Now this one is made by Red Star, but the original Seagull one will cost you a lot more. Personally, I'd save the money and buy one of these, especially as they only cost you about £130, or even less. By the way, the strap that normally comes with this is absolute rubbish, and the one you can see here is a rather nice Vario leather version. Here's one most of you won't be familiar with. It's the Cole Lehman Classic Field. Despite the name, Cole Lehman are actually a Japanese microband. I wasn't originally going to put this on the list, but then I thought again. As well as being one of the nicest field watches I've seen, it's spec'd really well. Inside is a Miyota 9000 series movement. It's got sapphire crystal, a great lume, and all in all, it's a really well put together watch. I picked this one up for peanuts on the used market, and I'm almost certain I wouldn't be able to replace it with something as good for what I paid. Like the Seagull 1963 I just showed you, this isn't the original strap, but I think it suits the watch beautifully. This is one of the cheapest watches in my collection, but it's one I always get a thrill out of wearing. I bought this new for just £130, and as well as its stunning looks, the specification is absolutely crazy. Listen to this: sapphire crystal front and rear, a PT 5000 movement that runs within COSC, a stunning bracelet with half links, 100 metres of water resistance, and it's even got a great lume. I think this is every bit as good as an automatic Tissot PRX, and it costs about 20% of one. I forgot to mention, it's the Chronos Skyline version 2. Finally, this is possibly my favourite watch, and what a stunner. This is the Maurice Lacroix Acon 39. It's a Swiss brand, and the build and finish are superb. Inside is the Seletra SW200-1 Elaborate grade, and this is the pink champagne option. I wanted one for a while, but they were generally too expensive, or only the 42mm version was available. In the UK purchase new, they're around about £2,300, but believe it or not, I bought this from a pawnbroker on eBay for just £750, and when it arrived I was surprised it was actually in completely mint condition. Stop press, I'm adding a ninth, and I can't believe I nearly forgot this one. This is the Coast Pacific Explorer. This is another of those watches I picked up for a bargain price, and I know full well if I ever sold this I wouldn't be able to get anything nearly as good for what I'm likely to get for this. Now Coast were a USA based microbrand that only ever made the one range. I simply love the combination of the bronze and the stainless, and this has even got a Swiss movement. So that's it guys. They are the 8 watches in my collection I believe I'll never sell, but once again I've owned other watches, I've said that about before. Don't forget, as well as all the watches I've shown you today, I've got a long back catalogue of watches I've reviewed, so feel free to have a look. I very much hope you've enjoyed this video, and I look forward to reading your comments. Feel free to let me know if you've got any watches in your collection that you think will be with you forever. I'll be really grateful now if you could click on the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and as usual, enjoy the rest of your day.